Marilyn Monroe, like you've never seen her before. From her tumultuous relationships to her battles with addiction and mental health, these photos offer a glimpse into a life that was marked by both triumph and tragedy. Future film star Marilyn Monroe, on the beach, as a toddler with her mother Gladys Baker, circa 1929. Marilyn Monroe, born Norma Jean Baker, sitting pretty as an adorable baby in 1927. Even as a child, Monroe's life was chaotic. In 1929, the young Monroe began bouncing around homes in Los Angeles. By 1930, Monroe's relationship with her mother was a mess. Monroe knew she wanted to be a star by 1931. Little Norma Jean Baker, she sits on a Model A Ford, proving herself to hardly be camera shy. Marilyn Monroe with golden curls, circa 1933 or 1934. In 1936, Monroe was made a ward of the state. Monroe only had a normal home life for a brief period of time. In 1939, Monroe found a home at her school newspaper. Teenage Marilyn, 1940. A teenage, dark-haired Norma Jean Baker, 1941, right around when she dropped out of high school. Norma Jean Baker on the beach at Avalon, Santa Catalina Island, circa 1943. Her first husband, James Doherty, was stationed on the island's boot camp at the time. Marilyn and her first husband, Jimmy, 1943. An early portrait of Monroe's modeling work, 1944. Norma. Jean Mortensen poses for a portrait in 1946 in Los Angeles, California, shortly before changing her name to Marilyn Monroe. Blue Book model. Norma Jean Mortensen poses for a hair products advertisement in 1945. Monroe stunning in Ladies of the Chorus, 1948. Newly signed 20th Century Fox contract girl Marilyn Monroe poses for a portrait in 1947 in Los Angeles, California. Monroe underwent serious plastic surgery in 1949. Monroe's career exploded in 1950. Marilyn Monroe presented with roses, 1951. Monroe's career nearly came to a halt in 1952. Marilyn Monroe stuns, 1953. Red is definitely Monroe's color, circa 1954. Monroe resting her head on a white fur coat while lying on a carpet in a red brocade evening gown and long black gloves, 1955. Marilyn Monroe. Blowing out candle on 30th birthday cake, 1956. (1957), Marilyn Monroe on the set of The Prince and the Showgirl, directed and produced by Laurence Olivier. Monroe's Fox headshot, 1958. Monroe, making her way down the stairs, 1959. Marilyn Monroe shows off her fashion on screen in The Misfits, 1960. Marilyn Monroe performing for GIs in Korea. One of the final photos taken of Marilyn Monroe, 1962. Marilyn Monroe leaves the home she briefly shared with Joe DiMaggio in a car driven by her attorney, Jerry Giesler. Monroe had just announced her intent to divorce DiMaggio on grounds of mental cruelty. Arriving at the premiere of the film, There's No Business Like Show Business, 1954. Reading The Poetry and Prose of Heinrich Heine, 1951. Marilyn Monroe performs for American troops in Korea in February 1954. Laying on the grass in 1954 in Palm Springs. Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio, circa 1954. Marilyn Monroe after her arrival at Idlewild Airport from the West Coast, shortly after her 30th birthday, 1956. Marilyn Monroe and husband Arthur Miller in car at Idlewild Airport after arriving from Kingston, Jamaica. Monroe leaning over the balcony of the Ambassador Hotel in March 1955 in New York City, New York. Marilyn Monroe cries as the paparazzi snap photos. American movie actress Marilyn Monroe entertains a group of soldiers in Korea. Marilyn Monroe tries some cake in the enlisted men's mess hall at Headquarters Company, 2nd Infantry Division, near Seoul, South Korea, during her wartime entertainment tour of Korea, 1954. Monroe fixes her hair, 1951. The Millers ride out. American actress Marilyn Monroe, 1948. Waving goodbye after arriving from London on Pan American Airlines, 1956. In 1948, maybe the last time she did her own makeup. Marilyn Monroe puckers for photographers in Idlewild Airport after a cross-country flight from Los Angeles. She has arrived in New York to work on the 7-year itch. Movie star Marilyn Monroe gets fitted for her costume in a dressing room before riding a pink elephant in Madison Square Garden for a circus charity event, 1955. Marilyn Monroe relaxes on a couch in her hotel room at the Ambassador Hotel on March 24, 1955 in New York City, New York. A rare laugh in the front seat of a car during the filming of The Misfits on location in the Nevada desert. Marilyn Monroe on the set of The Misfits, 1960. Marilyn Monroe on The Misfits set.